Hello and welcome to the Barrel Roll Newscast for November 24th, 2018. Today we're talking Star Wars Land, some Obi-Wan Kenobi news, Skybound Entertainment and the Walking Dead game, as well as Sony and Marvel and their movie partnerships. And we're finishing off with the new Harry Potter film, The Crimes of Grindelwald. Stay tuned for all that and more on this newest newscast. Oh, hi everybody, and welcome to the Barrel Roll Newscast, all the nerd news you need to know. I'm Nick, and I'm by myself today, and I'm so alone. The sound I couldn't even get working. Either way, it's working now, and I'm talking to you, so if you have something to say, please chat with me on Twitch, Mixer, and or YouTube. Please keep it clean, keep it friendly, keep it nice. I'm here today to talk to you about movie and game news and all sorts of nerd stuff from around the internet from the last week. First up, I'm going to be talking to you guys about Star Wars Land. I believe it's called Galaxy's Edge, and it's opening in Disneyland next year. Big news this week is that John Williams, who has scored most of the Star Wars movies, is going to be making music for the area. If you know anything about Disneyland, the cool thing here is Disney always has music playing in the background. You always feel like you're kind of in a movie with your own background music playing. You don't notice it until it disappears. It's quite the interesting thing, but it comes out of rocks, it comes out of popcorn stands, it comes out of buildings, it comes out of trees. There's music everywhere in Disney, and the cool part is they're integrating all of that right into Star Wars Land, Galaxy's Edge. And John Williams is the guy writing the music. So anywhere you walk, you're going to feel like you're in a Star Wars movie. Word on the street is also that Star Wars Land has the best replica kind of lightsaber toys you can possibly find. They'll only be available in Disneyland at Galaxy's Edge. So that's an interesting little tidbit too. There's not a lot. It's just kind of a rumor going around right now. But that is kind of the shtick that is happening, which is quite interesting if you ask me. My opinions on it, I'm obviously going to wait a while before I head to Disneyland again. I'm a big Disney freak. But going to Disneyland, hello, technical difficulties 1 or 2, I guess. Going to Disneyland as soon as a park opens is insane. It's kind of cool because you get to see all this stuff like brand new, and you don't get anybody else's opinions. You can form your own without having anybody talking about stuff. But in the long run, it just becomes kind of a, it's John Williams. It just becomes kind of a mishmash of stuff, and you're kind of just going like, oh man, you know, what's going to be there, what's going to, I don't know, but it's really, really busy if you go right at opening. We noticed that with Toy Story Land in Disney World. They had lineups to get into the park for one thing, and then lineups to get into the smaller section of the park, which is also insane to me. Lining up to line up. And then, to get on any ride, you have to line up again. So, I will not be checking it out as soon as this thing opens, unless Disney wants to give me a VIP tour. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Oh, wink, oh, wink. So there's that. John Williams is scoring the music for that area, which I think is really, really cool, because that's how Disney kind of does feel like that magical place. I know a lot of people can complain about, oh, the price of the park and the this and the that and everything else. But the rides are free. Once you're in, you know, you got to wait in line. So there's that. But at the same time, you know, the rides are free. The shows are free. So if you go to see anything, the fireworks, you know, any of the stage shows, all of that's free. The atmosphere of the park itself is free. It's all with the price of admission to the park. And this is part of that price of admission is, you know, putting those speakers in to make sure they work, putting in the things to, you know, get you kind of into that world and sock you into that world. So it's definitely one of those things that if you are ever in the area, you should definitely be checking out. So that's starting, I believe, next year with no, I'm not sure if it's got a firm date yet. But either way, John Williams scoring the music for Galaxy's Edge in Disneyland. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, we've reported on this, but Skybound Entertainment has taken over the Walking Dead video game, the last season of Telltale's The Walking Dead video game. It's now Skybound's The Walking Dead video game. And news out now is that they've amassed most of the Telltale team to actually finish making the game. So anybody who was working on the game previously is still pretty much working on the game. Very exciting news for people who like the series. You know, we can have whoopsies. We can have all sorts of cool stuff to finish off our series where we don't have to worry about you know, it ending and us not being able to find out what the ending was all about. Which I think is good. I mean, honestly, when we heard the news that Telltale was shutting down, we're like, well, at least they'll finish the Walking Dead game. Nope. And then for us, it was, well, at least, you know, and it's like, oh, and then Skybound picked it up, and it's like, okay, these guys will finish it, but are they going to finish it the way that it was supposed to be finished? We don't know. And obviously, Skybound was thinking the exact same thing. So they grabbed all the talent that they could from Telltale, anybody that still hadn't found a job, I guess, probably, and socked them in to finish making The Walking Dead the final season. So you can find out what happens to Clementine. I personally have not even finished season 1. I think I got through episode 3 and part of episode 4, and that was it. It's an intriguing game, but episodic gaming is not something I'm a fan of unless I buy all the episodes at once and play straight through the game, and then it's not really episodic gaming. In all honesty, we've been complaining on this podcast and on our website about Telltale and all of the, you know, their games and the engine that was just getting slower and more run down and all of those kinds of things. So it wasn't a surprise when Telltale shut down. What was a surprise is that they didn't finish their game. And I guess that's par for the course. It's going to happen if you know, don't have time to finish. Or if you don't have a company, I guess, to finish your game for you. So thankfully, Skybound is trying to make a name for themselves by, you know, really pushing hard to make sure that this game gets finished and that people get to enjoy it. So that is a plus. Thanks, Skybound. I probably won't be playing this game, but kudos to you guys for doing the right move and hiring the right talent to come in and finish this game. Hopefully it pays off for you guys in the end. Look at us go. I'm just cracking through this stuff today. Since I am alone, for those of you that want to know, in the post-credit show, I am going to be talking about games I've played and movies I've watched, but I'm going to do it in more of a review-ish type format. Loose reviews, obviously. I haven't really sat there and written a bunch of stuff down. I'm not going to have, like, trailers and stuff playing while I do it. We're just going to sit here and talk about, you know, what I'm thinking about the games right now in a more in-depth kind of way, as opposed to an opinionated talking kind of thing. It's just more going to be me staring at a screen and talking about what I think about these games and movies and such. Not that I have a lot of be prepared for a retro review for movies and that kind of thing. So yeah. I am alone today because the rest of my compatriots are either, dead or dying, schooling, or celebrating. So all, there's some good things and some bad things. We're all kind of over the place. Hopefully those that are sick are feeling better. Hopefully those that are celebrating are having a good time. And hopefully those that are working on schoolwork and whatnot are feeling not stressed. Because that's the worst, is feeling stressed when you got to get that kind of stuff. Hopefully everybody else out there is also having a great weekend and didn't, get pile driven into the ground from all the Black Friday shopping you've been doing. I know I do it all online because I can't be forced to go out. And in Canada, our deals aren't as stellar and crazy and good. So hopefully you didn't get run over this weekend by a mob of people trying to get a really cheap TV. Next up on the docket is a game that we tried to play a little bit of the other night, and it is on a Black Friday sale, and I believe still going on. On the PlayStation, you can get Battlefront 2, Star Wars Battlefront 2. It's just the game that was, caught a lot of heat at the beginning of the when it first released, I guess I should say. Hold on. I'm trying to make the cast more engaging by having pictures. Battlefront 2 is introducing Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I have a date. November 28th. He will be a playable hero in the game. On November 28th, and he is voiced by James Arnold Taylor, who voices him in the Clone Wars. As you can see from this photo, hopefully you can see, it is the episode 2, episode 3 Kenobi, so somewhere in the Clone Wars, that kind of thing. And he comes in the final push of the Geonosis DLC, which is free if you own the game, and right now it's $13, so not a bad deal. $13 Canadian, so not a bad deal all around. Overall, I do enjoy my time in Battlefront 2. It's a pretty fun game. The inclusion of this Obi-Wan Kenobi, obviously they've hit everything on the mark. The hello there is an emote that is coming out. He uses his Jedi mind trick to stop people from using their abilities and that kind of stuff. And at the same time, he is apparently a very defensive player with his lightsaber, so he can actually charge into an attack and deflect laser blasts and all that kind of stuff. So like all the other heroes in the game, he's going to be overpowered over your Stormtrooper, and rightfully so, because he's Obi-Wan freaking Kenobi. I'm excited for Obi-Wan Kenobi to join. I didn't honestly know that he wasn't in the game until they announced that he was joining the game. So I'm assuming he, like General Grievous, is going to cost a certain amount of credits to unlock in the game. So I believe Grievous is 20,000 credits. So if you're an avid player of Battlefront 2, that doesn't take a lot of time to amass. If you're someone like me who plays very casually with the game and doesn't do a lot of work with getting the daily quests done and this and that and everything else, it could take a while. I've only amassed, I think, 16,000 credits on my account. So I will be playing a little bit more and getting those 20,000 hopefully to unlock Obi-Wan Kenobi. And I believe you can spend real money if you'd like to unlock Obi-Wan. Honestly, I think it's a cool way to roll him out with a big map included, so that we will be having the Battle of Geonosis, obviously with Grievous at one end and Obi-Wan Kenobi at the other sort of thing. New vehicles are being added for people to join in, and the developers have promised that this is going to be the biggest and baddest fight you have seen yet. Like I said, if you can get this game cheap, it's totally worth getting. I believe there's a single-player campaign that's kind of fun, and the overall multiplayer is quite fun. You feel like you are just, the Stormtrooper in the fight and shooting things down. And then every once in a while, if you can become the hero, all the power to you. Again, that's not something I'm completely in for. I'm not really a big fan of taking over that hero role because I feel like I'm not that good at the game. And so I take over as a hero, and I'm like, I shall, and then I die. So I leave other people to do it. Maybe once Obi-Wan Kenobi's out, I will play as Obi-Wan, because he was, in all honesty, I think we can all agree, the best part of the prequels. Looking back at the prequels, not as bad as, I enjoyed them when they first came out. I was a younger kid. I was much, much younger when they came out. I was a kid. I enjoyed them when they came out. I looked at them more as I got older, and I went, man, these are bad compared to the, original Star Wars films. And now looking at them again, rewatching them, I really do feel like the prequels had a good thing going for them. The directing just was the fault of them. Because we got really good stuff out of the Clone Wars series, we've gotten good stuff out of Rebels. It's not that anything that comes before the original trilogy is absolute junk. We just have to have the right people telling those stories and directing those stories and doing that kind of stuff. And Battlefront, I think, is a fun way of doing something like that, where we can have people talking about, Obi-Wan Kenobi and, doing little tiny things to kind of throw us into that Star Wars universe and have us into those big battles like the Battle of Geonosis. So stay tuned and log in on November 28th so you can check out Obi-Wan Kenobi in Star Wars Battlefront 2. If you see a stormtrooper who's dying a lot, it's probably me. On to the next bit of news. This one we've talked about a little bit, but it kind of is now making me a little bit more afraid, because Sony is releasing 2 more Marvel movies, both in 2020. They're both unannounced as titles, but we can assume one of them is going to be Venom, as it did stupidly well in the theaters. So good for it. Again, I'm not a huge Venom fan, period, when it comes to stuff. That's right, I shouldn't be talking about Venom with Obi-Wan on the screen. So there is the brand new Venom, played by Tom Hardy. Again, a guy who I don't really know from anything other than his interviews. And he seemed like a really cool dude who's really into Venom and really into making a good movie. From what I hear, he's also really good at being Venom and Eddie Brock in the movie. So that's also a plus. Again, I'm just not a fan of, that guy, and when his story has nothing to do with anything going on in the MCU, I'm not going to shell out money to go see it. It's like one of those things where I'm not a huge fan of, some of the MCU superheroes, but I'll go see the movies because I know they all connect, and I know I'm in for a good time. This one, not connecting, maybe in for a good time. Venom's definitely something I'm going to check out when it comes, Blu-ray or Netflix or something like that. Maybe I'll rent it, throw some money at it that way. Either way, enough money. People have thrown money at it that Sony is going ahead with 2 movies in the same year. So we are, like I said, assuming one of them is going to be Venom 2, and the other one we are assuming is going to be the Morbius film, I believe with Jared Leto in the shoes of the vampire who sucks people's plasma through his palms. We've talked about this at length, so this is really just a soapbox moment for me where I sit there going, if Sony can have as good a success with Venom that they did, making a film without, connecting him to Spider-Man in any way, shape, or form, and just having Venom, hopefully they can pull it off with Morbius. I mean, it's a vampire movie. It can totally be done. Like I've said before, I think Morbius can be done as a better story without Spider-Man because, he's not really attached to Spider-Man as a whole. Uh-oh. I'm not sure if I have sound coming out or if my video is funny or... Oh, no, I'm still talking. Alright, cool. Sorry, my videos froze on one screen and not on another, and I didn't know what was going on. Either way, Morbius, I believe, can make its own film and do a better job of it than Venom, but it's still not something I'm interested in personally seeing. It's not something I really want to go to and say, hey, I'm going to go to this Morbius movie. It's going to be totally awesome. Morbius versus Blade. Cool. And I think a lot of it is the fact that I'm not intrigued by the villains aspect of things. I don't know what it is. But for me, I know Venom, it's just the character to me was never that interesting. Slobbering bad dude who wants to kill people. I know in the movie they've, from what I've heard, they've given him a little bit more of a storyline. Even in the comics over the past, long while now, they've added extra things to make him more intriguing as a character. I did like Agent Venom when Flash Thompson was Venom. I thought that was a cool twist to things, but again, that takes build-up and it takes time to get there, and hopefully these movies can keep, actually pumping out decent stories, I guess is the biggest piece to everything. Um, I don't know. That's my piece. I would like for them to keep making good movies. My fear is that they're going to just start churning out as much stuff as possible to, bank on the success of Venom and stop concentrating on making good movies, because I've seen what our friends at Sony can pull off, and that is something that does worry me. And then again, we have, if Jared Leto is involved in Morbius, that again kind of frightens me, because we've seen what he has done to comic book characters. Yeah. Either way, expect 2 more movies from Sony and Marvel in 2020 that have no connection to the MCU. That could get interesting if they really start churning them out that quick. You want to see superhero fatigue? We're going to see, I believe, Sony superhero fatigue, because they're just going to keep pumping out stuff. As opposed to Marvel, who could probably release, Marvel Studios and Disney, who could release, 8 movies in a year, and everybody would be like, yeah. I feel like Sony's just going to start kind of scraping at the bottom of the barrel of Spider-Man people and being like, these people will now get a movie. Again, Silver Sable's supposed to be getting a movie, and I believe it's involving Black Cat. So, really you are just reaching at that point. Morbius can totally have a solo film. Venom obviously can have a solo film. It's done the right way, but even Black Cat, I feel like she could almost have one if done right, but Silver Sable, you are really starting to stretch, in a weird direction of, we have these properties and we must use them. So I don't know. I don't know. All I know is I'm probably not seeing these movies in theaters in 2020. And the last bit of news that we have today, as my camera focuses yet again, is about these guys in these movies. The Fantastic Beast films. Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald, released last weekend, I guess, to a subpar to them, $67-point-something million. That's not what they were expecting to make. They were expecting to make way more, and they did not. This is also, I think, the most underwhelming opening for a Harry Potter universe film, which is leading to speculations as to why. So, my biggest thing is doing the overarching title as Fantastic Beasts. I think Fantastic Beasts was a good movie. I enjoyed Fantastic Beasts. But really, going forward, I think it should have been changed from Fantastic Beasts as the overall title to, The Wizarding World, The Crimes of Grindelwald. I don't think audiences needed that connecting Fantastic Beasts part to make you want to go to it. General audiences may get confused, but you're, for the most part, Harry Potter fans, and let's face it, there are bajillions of them, aren't going to be like, what's this Wizarding World movie, and why does all the people from the Fantastic Beasts movie, why are they in this one? Honestly, I think that's one of the pieces, is being like, it's Fantastic Beasts 2, but not really Fantastic Beasts 2, because yes, we'll still talk about animals, and yes, our friend Newt is in it, but really, the first one was about Fantastic Beasts. This one is about Johnny Depp's character, Grindelwald, doing bad stuff and them trying to stop him. So, really, what are we accomplishing? What are we doing? What are we seeing? All that kind of stuff is in there. It's there, and it's doing things, and I feel like Fantastic Beasts at the top is just kind of part of the reason that it's kind of dying, because it's like, can we pull off another Fantastic Beasts movie? Is it going to be good? Why don't we just make another Wizarding World movie? Especially since, Universal already has the title of, the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. Just say Wizarding World, do it in the typeface that we all know from Harry Potter, and call it a day. So there's that. There's those pieces. There's obviously the stuff to do with Johnny Depp and the allegations of abuse. Why would you keep him in the movie? He was probably hired before that, but why would you keep him on? J.K. Rowling has spoken out about it and said, Johnny Depp is a great guy, blah, 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 blah. A lot of the filmmakers, same thing. They've come up to defend him against whatever allegations have come up. And again, allegations. I, for one, used to, like, I have a lot of Johnny Depp movies in my movie collection. It was one of those things where you're like, wow, this guy's really good at acting. Edward Scissorhands, for instance, really good. You know, and we can all say Pirates of the Caribbean, at least the first one, solid hit with Jack Sparrow. From things like What's Eating Gilbert Grape to Dead Man, there's some awesome films in his repertoire, but I feel like Johnny Depp just started taking roles and doing them, and they all kind of came out the same. After Jack Sparrow, he just kind of found a pattern and went for it. So in my mind, for me, it's, you know, abuse allegations are one thing and should be taken seriously and should be looked into. But until those allegations are, you know, something more, for me personally, Johnny Depp's just a tired actor. You know, it's one of those things where I'm tired of seeing him play the same roles over and over and over and over again. And I have no idea what Grindelwald's really going to be like. But I have a bet it's going to be somewhere in between a Mad Hatter, Jack Sparrow, something along those lines, because that's all I've seen out of him in the last, 10 years. So for me, that's where, with this movie, that's one of the reasons I am not inclined to see it, is, you know, being the main antagonist, I want someone interesting, I want something, you know, a little bit bigger, and I feel like, you know, Johnny Depp as a character, I've seen too many times doing the same thing. Now, this could be a surprise movie, and he could be, you know, stellar. Reports from major websites are saying it's a really good movie to go see, a good sequel to go see to the Fantastic Beasts movie, which is good. So if you're a Harry Potter fan, there is positive news out there for, you know, you guys. I guess that's the second reason I'm not really into this film, is I'm not a huge Harry Potter guy. I like Harry Potter. I have read all of the Harry Potter books. I have seen and own all of the Harry Potter movies. And I like Hufflepuff represent, yo. But in all honesty, when it comes to something like this, I waited even for the first Fantastic Beasts to come out on digital and Blu-ray and all of that stuff before I watched it, because, you know, I like the Harry Potter stories. This movie itself was based off of, you know, a textbook from the Harry Potter universe, and I just went, and it turned out to be, I liked this. This was a good film. The first Fantastic Beasts movie and Where to Find Them. I thought that was a, you know, really solid film. It was good. It had a lot of interesting parts to its story. It had a lot of good things going for it. But then they kind of set it up right at the end for the sequel, and it's like, oh, they're making more of Fantastic Beasts movies, and again, not just Wizarding World movies. And I think that might have been a better place to touch on, is, you know, let's go somewhere else and see something else first, and then come back to this Crimes of Grindelwald guy. If this Grindelwald guy is supposed to be like, you know, Voldemort, you know, beta version, let's lead up to him a little bit more instead of just throwing him in there and, you know, making him the guy for the next movie. So there's also that, I guess, is my big piece, is, you know, we know Harry Potter, we like all of that stuff, and from what I have read online, a big chunk of it is J.K. Rowling's really good at writing books, because she gets time to, you know, take those breathing moments, which I think are very important. In movies, unfortunately, we don't take those times. We don't take that time to, you know, explore a hallway or look at a painting for a long period of time, or just have someone sitting by a fire reading a book. You know, we don't have those time. They don't make time for that in movies. So her writing screenplays isn't really adapting as well as the books did. So there's that piece to it too, where J.K. Rowling should maybe be involved in helping write parts of it, but not the entire thing, because, you know, we have people who do a better job of making movies out of these things. The Harry Potter movies were pretty solid films. And again, I thought the Fantastic Beasts movie, the first one, was really good, but from what I'm reading online, just some other opinions are, you know, J.K. Rowling maybe not the best screenwriter in the entire world, even though she is a really good author. So, and that makes sense. They're two very different jobs. So there's that. So, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. That's the news for today, or this week. Movie and game news for the week. Underperforming Harry Potter extra Venom movies and other assorted stuff coming out of Sony. Skybound finishing The Walking Dead. And some Star Wars stuff. John Williams scoring an entire land in Disneyland. And, of course, Obi-Wan Kenobi joining Battlefront 2. If you have anything to say, please pop something down into the comments. That would be stellar of you. That would be great. Next week, hopefully, I'll be back with a crew of people so we can talk about some stuff. And if you want us to discuss any of this stuff next week, make sure it ends up in the comments so that we know you're like, I want to know what everybody else thinks about this topic and not just Nick. So there. With that, though, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching. This is Nick. I will be doing the post-credit show, which, like I said, I'm going to be doing more of a review-style thing than a full-on show. So, again, the post-credit show is where we talk about games we've played, movies we've watched, and that sort of thing. Obviously, I have no one to talk about that kind of stuff with. So, what you'll be getting is a full-on review of some of the things I've watched and that kind of thing, as opposed to a discussion about them. It's just going to be me talking about them. It's not going to be long. It's not going to be a big fuss this weekend, but hopefully you will enjoy it. If I have time after, I might play some games, do some stuff. If not, you know, we'll see. But either way, I got to get the hamster. I got to change out the hamsters on the wheel and get all of these stuff recombobulated. So, thanks for watching. Tune in next week or in another 5 minutes for the post-credit show. Thanks for watching, everybody. Join us on Discord. Like and subscribe if you like what you saw today. Check out our other videos at YouTube so that you can totally see what it's like when the rest of the crew is here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see ya in 5.